Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Conversations with Jane C. Phillips. Jane is a psychic medium, a medical intuitive, and a paranormal investigator. And today, the conversation with Jane is going to be about asking and receiving. Good morning, Jane. How are you?
Good morning and hello, everybody, and welcome. And I'm doing well. Saturday is World Storytelling Day, and I realized that this ties into what I wanted to do today, which is my story that happened a week and a half ago. I was at a local retailer buying some stuff for my car, and a customer left a battery on the floor right next to the counter, so he didn't think it would be in the way, but of course he stepped away and I tripped over it and broke my arm. So I have a broken little bit up here and a really bruised arm. And so because it's me and I've had some experience with things not going well, I thought, what am I going to do? And they offered to call an ambulance for me, and I said no. So the first thing I did was, when I got myself enough out of shock, because I hit hard, is I was able to call the gal I live with, and she took me to emergency. And so I got fixed up. I got x-rays, and I have the sling that they give you and all of that. And then I'm home. And now I'm pretty disabled because I hurt a lot. Mm-hmm. And I'm figuring out over the course of the week, I was able to do some things for myself, which was ask the virtual assistant that I had, because I wasn't feeling confident about typing, even though my right hand fingers work, because my right arm's injured. I asked my virtual assistant if she could block out the next week so nobody would be able to schedule an appointment with me, because I didn't want to be doing the pity party. And she took care of that immediately for me. And then throughout the week, I just was kind of paying attention to what I needed to do for myself. And what I find, it's been brought up in some other venues that I've been on this week. What I'm finding is that when things happen to us that are unexpected, or maybe in one case, it was a financial issue that just kept getting worse for somebody, we really feel like we have to do everything ourselves. Mm-hmm. And that is a really common way, that it's just like, nobody's really going to help us, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And so this arm break had kind of showed me that I'm going to have to step up my game. I'm living with somebody, of course, who's a friend, and I could keep asking her to do everything for me, but I really didn't want to overburden her. She's got a lot going on. So I thought, what am I going to do? How am I going to learn to ask to get some help without overburdening people? And some of the people I asked for help with, I didn't know very well, but I did it anyway. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, I called a friend. It had been almost a week, and I really needed my hair washed. So I called a friend, and I needed my bed made. And I called a friend, and she said, "Oh, washing your hair. Well, I could do that." And I said, "It's not urgent." So it was 8 a.m, and she said, "I'll be there at noon." And when we hung up the phone, I realized she just wasn't comfortable washing my hair. Mm-hmm. So she was going to do it anyway because she likes me. And I thought, nope, I've got a neighbor across the alley I don't know super well, but I bet she could come over and wash my hair. So I called her up, and she says, "Yeah, give me about an hour and a half, and I'll come over and wash your hair." And she did. And it wasn't a big deal for her. And my other friend wasn't going to have to do it. And then while she was there, I thought, well, while she's here, I know she's a cook. So I said, "Can you chop the acorn squash in half and have the Brussels sprouts so that I can roast them?" And that was like easy. She was at my place for 40 minutes. It wasn't a big deal for her. It solved a bunch of problems for me. My other friend who was going to wash my hair showed up at noon. I said, "Guess what? You don't have to wash my hair, but I do need help making my bed." And she said, "Oh, well, that felt easy to her. Washing my hair didn't," and I picked that up. So if she said no to that, I wouldn't have been upset. And then she was able to help me. She works with essential oils. So she helped me organize my essential oils. And she was there for maybe 45 minutes to an hour. No big deal. And she got to go home and keep doing her stuff. And I had another friend who'd offered to help. And she took me to the osteopath appointment a couple days after I fell and waited. And she came over and she was going to help me go to the retailer where I fell to get more insurance information, but I didn't need that. Yeah, but the other thing I did was I did call a couple of attorneys just in case, I'm asked. And I kind of thought, I don't really have a case. I'm not like walking around in crutches and all of that. But one of the law firms, the first one said, oh, you're too small a deal. We're not going to do anything. So I was feeling discouraged, but I called the second one and they said, yes, let's take the information and we'll call you back. And I got that somebody might call me back to talk further. I don't know where I'm headed, but I asked for that. And so the other things, that happened, I've got a friend I don't know very well, who's also a neighbor. He and I walk our dogs together sometimes. And I called him up and I said, I'm taking my truck in. I can't drive for 8 weeks for repair. Can you drive manual transmission? Would you be willing to drive my truck in for the 3 days of, body work that I need and have your wife drive us back? So what I'm encouraging people to do is to be willing to get out of their comfort zone and figure out who you can ask. I've got to call into an attorney. If you're in a mental health challenge, there are all sorts of free places out there that you can go and get support. There are women's groups and men's groups that you can go to so you don't feel like you're alone with everything. The other thing that I've done in the past that hasn't come up as much right now is when I cannot think of one person or a thing I can do is when I turn it over. I've been fortunate in that the energy of Mother Mary has worked with me and given me flowers in my living room when I lived in Minnesota. And she's a very strong force in my life. And so when I have had situations that I don't know what to do, I have stood in the living room asking for a new attorney because I was going through a divorce. And basically, the only thing I knew, people have heard this story, is from my psychic class that my attorney was a blonde-haired woman with a flip who did mediation. That's the only thing I had. I was in Minnesota, in a town of 3 million people, and that's the only criteria I had. And I was going to do a mediation session in a week and a half. And my current attorney was really clear that it wasn't to continue. I found that particular attorney within 2 hours of my screaming in the living room. And there was no way. I called a couple people. I tried to do my part. I called a brother who's an attorney and another friend who's an attorney, and they weren't available. And so I called somebody who I said, well, I'll do my to-do list. And I called my insurance agent for something. And I said, by the way, you wouldn't happen to know an attorney that has a blonde-haired attorney with a flip who does mediation? And she says, well, my husband knows this law firm here, and there are 3 women attorneys that are blonde, and I think the one with this one is yours. And I went online and found them. Sure enough, there were 3 attorneys. The one my friend recommended had short hair. One of the other attorneys was a blonde-haired attorney with a flip. And I called her and left a message and told her, I said, I need to change attorneys. And you fit the criteria of what you look like. And she called me back the next day and said, well, I don't take cases away from other attorneys. I said, I appreciate that. She met with me on Monday. My mediation was on Friday. She was the one that helped me finalize my divorce.
Wow. So let me go back and ask you a question about, so you had this vision of a blonde woman with a flip. You had a feeling or a vision about that, and that's what drove you to.
Because somebody in my psychic class on Monday, and this was on a Wednesday that I was doing this calling, my psychic class I was taking, we were reading for each other, and she says, well, you've got this attorney that's on your side. It's a woman. It's a blonde-haired attorney with a flip. She does mediation. And I said, no, that's not my attorney. I have a male attorney. He's, really strong. She says, well, that's not what I'm seeing. So on Wednesday, the event that I intuitively knew that would allow me to fire him, that would be the event that would say, you're done, happened on Wednesday. So I had the event from Monday of this gal in class saying, this is what your attorney looks like. And I'm going, no. And on Wednesday, I was like, oh, I better go looking for this person.
Wow.
So, I've had other instances like that. And I literally stood in the living room, and I had the cleaning lady in my house, and screamed. I said, okay, I need a blonde-haired attorney with a flip. I need him right away. And I don't know where they're coming from, but you got to help me. And literally within 2 hours, I found her.
Wow.
So what
That
I
gives
want
me
to tell,
goosebumps hearing you say that.
what I want to tell people is, don't be afraid to ask.
Right.
And if somebody, I'm injured, I'm trying to do as much as I can for myself. I'm getting really good at flinging shirts over my shoulders so I can get them buttoned, because and get things done. And my right fingers work fine. But I'm doing little bits, and I'm not trying to burden one person with my ask. So I'm physically doing my part. I'm, with the attorney thing, I physically said, okay, I'm going to do what I can think of to call, which is call my brother who's an attorney, call another attorney friend who'd referred my current attorney to me, and they weren't available. So I just assumed, not that I wasn't being supported, but that wasn't going to be how I found it. And I just went on with my day, and the next person I called was the one that knew what I needed. So don't be afraid if your back's against the wall. You can't think of a neighbor you can call for help. You can't think of a group that you want to go to. At least really clearly say, okay, I'm against the wall. I need help. And this is what help I'm looking for. Be as specific as you can. And when I don't know what to do, I say, the help I need is give me ideas. Put somebody in my path that's going to help me move forward. So, not everyone's Christian who's listening, but in the Bible it says, ask and you shall receive. And it takes a while. I've been practicing this for years. There's some discernment around who to ask, and to understand that if somebody's not able to help you, that doesn't mean that you're not going to get the assistance you need. But be willing to ask. Be willing to ask your friends. Be willing to tap into, if you need financial help, being too proud to go to a food bank or find a shelter is just getting in your way of receiving the support you need that will get you to the next level. So this whole thing was mostly because I hurt myself, and I had to put into practice what I need. And I had a week of lost income, and I was starting to get a little nervous about it, but I had chosen to recover enough. And I was able to take a look at clients on Tuesday, and I got a call from a client out of the blue on Tuesday. I had 2 clients on Wednesday that I didn't anticipate, and I've had a couple of clients today because I took time off and I allowed timing. So the other piece is ask and let go of the timing, but be clear about what you're asking for. The other piece that we can talk about is make sure you know what you're asking, because if you're asking for things to not go well, you'll get that too. So it's a trick. It's taken me years of practice, because I've had no other choices sometimes except for to scream in the living room to ask for help, but it's never failed me. So reach out. Don't be too proud to ask for what you need. And if you can't pick up the phone, and call somebody to come over and have a cup of tea with you. We're masking now, and there's vaccinations. Just be able to reach out. People are willing to help you as long as you're not like overdoing it. It's like one person doesn't need to carry the whole load. And I'm trying to figure out the next things I need help with, cooking in the kitchen, because the person I live with doesn't cook very well. So who can I come over and help me chop carrots? I'm getting so I might be able to do it myself, so I can roast some things, or who can take me to the grocery store for things that the person I'm living with might not go looking for, which would be maybe an hour trip or an hour and a half. And so, and not overburden somebody. So you all have a great week. That's my story for the week for World Storytelling Day on Saturday. And I wish you all the best. Don't be afraid to ask, whether it's with friends and family or clinics or whatever, or just scream it out to God and the universe that you want the help, and it will come. Just allow for the timing. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your week and weekend.
Thank you, Jane.